Okay, we're going to try again. There we go. I've made a proper mess of my desk, as you can see. There we go. My sound wasn't working, so hopefully it's working now. It looks like it is again. So if it's not, please let me know. But yeah, hopefully it's working. And I've just disconnected my microphone and reconnected it, and hopefully that has solved the problem. So it says that everything is working, so I hope it is. So there we go. Let's get started. I think the sound is working. The little meters are all moving, so that's a good sign. So there we go. So I'm going to start with a really loose and colorful background. So where's my brush? I have this really lovely large watercolor brush that I've really enjoyed using recently, and I really want to go for some like vibrant spring colors. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of red, and I'm really going for this loose and colorful abstract watercolor picture today. So, and please know that this paper that I'm using is not watercolor paper, and therefore it is not necessarily the best paper to paint on in watercolors. And that's okay. Hi Sandy, I'm glad to see you here. It's really lovely to see you. I'm sorry you struggled finding me. And so I had to restart my stream because my sound wasn't working, but hopefully everything is working now. So you can see I am painting today. So I am going for really vibrant, colorful abstracts, and I purposefully let these colors blend in together and mix up. So maybe I can also use some of my pencils and my markers. So these are water soluble crayons. So I'm just really going with what feels right at the moment, really going for loose colors. So I don't really have a set plan. I'm just going for colors that sort of fit my mood at the moment. And I think sound is working again, so that is good. If you're joining in today, let me know what you're doing, if you're painting with me, or perhaps you're working on a project of your own. I know sometimes people like to have these streams on and then create something of their own, something separate, sort of in the background. So there we go. I'm going to wreck this paper a little bit because this is not watercolor paper. This is my messy sketchbook, and I do quite like using like vibrant, loose colors on here. But it's not necessarily the best sketchbook, the best paper for watercolors. So I don't like adding in these circles. When I started my stream, I showed you a sketchbook that I have completed in the past. Oh, fantastic. That's really great. Colourful fountain pens. I love working in fountain pens, as you may know. And the type of drawing that we are making today is a little bit like these colourful abstract. As you can see, I'm going a little bit in this direction at the moment with circles. So I'm going for a colourful abstract picture today. I've been working on this really detailed deer portrait, and it's really detailed drawing, and I just really wanted to switch things up a little bit and go for something a little bit more loose. So you can see I'm just dropping in paint at the moment, seeing what happens, just letting go of wanting to create like a specific look. I'm just going for something that feels right to me in the moment. So shall I add a little bit of watercolor marker? I have lots of different materials here that I'm combining. Most of them water soluble because I really like to mix up my my materials today, but I'd like to add in some water. So I'm really mostly looking for water soluble art materials, and I'm going for this really lovely vibrant look. These are watercolor markers as well. So they are, if you add water to them, they change into paint. I made a little swatch card earlier to show what that would look like. And I'm actually considering buying quite a lot of extra new art materials. I really want to create colorful patterns, and I have so many ideas. I have lots of art materials, so I really don't need them, but I have lots of ideas at the moment, and really enjoy playing with different types of materials. So I'm working on this big color pencil drawing. I'm in the middle of launching my new course, which is colorful flowers and bouquets. So I've been painting lots of florals. So and I have created a few large paintings recently that are going to be exhibited in London, which is very exciting. So lots of different things I'm working on. And I know that a lot of, if anyone wants to become an illustrator or an artist and you want this to make this your sort of full-time occupation as I do, I think I would give you very different advice from what I'm actually doing. I would really advise you to pick a niche and really explore that niche and be much more sort of purposeful in the things that you do than I am, because I'm really mixing things up. But that's my character. I love doing lots of different things. I love painting and drawing and creating abstracts and creating realistic drawings and teaching courses and hosting workshops for groups and all these different things I really love doing. So if that's something that you do, that you love doing as well, then go for it and mix things up as much as you can. But from a sort of commercial business perspective, I think it is much more savvy and much more clever to just pick one thing and stick with it. So, but I think from a creative point of view, I love adding lots of different things in my repertoire and just having lots of fun with it. So I decided to do 2 pages. I'm just carrying on. As you can see, I'm just making things up. I'm not in any way. I'm not using a reference photo today. I'm just looking at all the different sort of shapes, that organic shapes that sort of pop into my mind whilst creating this. Just having fun. So, and if you enjoy these sessions, I do a lot of more sketching sessions. This is a little bit more of a looser painting session, but if you enjoy these, I'd really appreciate it if you share some of my videos on Facebook or with your friends and family, because I really like to grow a little bit on YouTube to reach more people and to make that a bigger part of what I do. And I could really use your help with that. So if you do enjoy these sessions, please share them with people that you think might enjoy them. So I'm adding in a bit of blue. Oh, I'm really sorry, Joey, especially because I started a bit late as well, but thank you so much for joining in, and I hope to see you soon. The replay will be available to watch back immediately after I finish today. So and let these colors blur out, so that's where the circles touch, and if the paint is wet, then the colors sort of blur out and mix up automatically, which is something that I really like to encourage. So I have a bit of a gold pen here as well. When I bought this, I thought it was a green. It was quite dark in the shop, and in my mind this was a green color, but actually it is a little bit more shiny than that, but it works quite well for this. So I'm going to add in some marks with that. I'm just dipping it in the water and then adding it to the palette. So this is a water soluble crayon. I just quite like to add quite a lot of water to it, so I just dip it in the water and then add it to the paper instead of the other way around. So that's something that I do quite often. Not something that you have to do, of course, but it's something that I like to do when using these. You can see it's a bit shimmery. I don't really use gold and silver in my artwork very often. Not for any particular reason, it's not really my color scheme usually. And I bought it by accident. I was meaning to go for a different color. Let's add a bit more of this purple tone. There we go. So it's a very different way of sketching from the sort of animal portraits that we've done over the last few weeks. Isn't it a very different vibe? So this is really perfect for if you don't really like drawing like detailed things, or if you're quite new to drawing and you feel a little bit insecure. Something like this anyone can do. You really don't need to have any special skills to join in. You really like to learn how to use oil pastels. I have quite a lot of oil pastels, and I'll have a think about that because I love using them. And maybe I can create some tutorials with those as well. I do often combine oil pastels with other mediums. So more often than not, I add in the oil pastel with, sort of combined with other things. So for example, I paint something and then add oil pastel over it, And then the oil pastel is really nice because it resists the colors, the watercolor. So oil and water sort of repels each other, and oil pastel tend to resist the water. So these are water soluble crayons. That's a little bit different from oil pastel. And but yeah, sometimes you see people use oil pastels with a palette knife, for example, which always looks so much fun, and like really in a like quite thick way. And that's not something that I do very often. But yeah, I'll have a look into it. It's not really a medium that's really high on my on the materials that I use usually. So there we go, lots of organic shapes. And in the meantime, all this water can dry quite nicely, so that works really well. I quite like the vibe here. This part is a bit too dark, I think. Maybe I can blend that out a bit more. So take some of that paint away, create some softer marks. A bit of dirty colors in it, but that's okay. Purple and yellow are opposite colors on the color wheel, and when they come together they often become a bit muddy, which is a color that I quite like. I'm just looking for a bit of paper, which is a color that I quite like. But yeah, just something to be aware of. I think I'm going to carry on a bit more with this warm orange yellow tone. So yeah, I'm also sort of slowly letting some of these shapes overlap a bit to see what happens there. So there we go, making up a little bit more pink to mix up with that yellow. There we go. This is enough color on the page. I am going to add more. Black to this. So this is just the base for this pattern that I'm creating today. So there we go. So just drying a few of these places. There we go. It's quite nice not to have a reference picture for a change, isn't it? Gives a slightly different sort of feel to the event, and you can see a bit more of my table as well. So I am going to create bring this together, because now we have lots of blobs of color on the paper, and I'm going to bring it together and make it more into a sort of cohesive picture, if that makes sense. So what am I going to start with? I think I'm going to just use my black. So just going to start with some just lines, starting to connect some of these shapes. Actually, I think I'm going to move to a pen. And I could quickly dry my paper with a hairdryer, but I think I'm just going to let it dry naturally and just avoid those really wet areas for now. So I'm just soaking up a few of those puddles of water. But there's enough of the page that is dry that I can start using. So I'm going to start here. So starting to create some shapes just to bring this together. So there we go. And I very often use a lot of these type of abstract shapes in my larger paintings. That might be something that you don't know about me. So let's see if I can quickly find a picture. There we go. And so this is a picture that I made. Recently, and as you can see, I use pen to add in lots and lots of fine details and marks. So this is a technique that I use very often in my larger pieces of art as well, just in case anyone was curious. So I'm just going to jump around over the paper a little bit. Just start adding in lots of shapes and marks that sort of feel right to me. So I'm hosting a watercolor painting class tonight at 7 UK time. I know lots of you are based in the US. At 7 o'clock UK time, and we're going to practice negative watercolor painting, which is a lot of fun to do as well. Just dry, still a little bit wet maybe here. And negative watercolor painting is a fantastic technique to practice your watercolor layering and to create a lot of depth into your painting. And it's a lot of fun to do. So it's a technique that we're going to practice tonight. So you're just slowly carrying on. Adding in lots of marks. And I feel like the black really brings things together as well. I think I'm going to quickly dry my paper because some of the paper is quite wet and I can't really use use my ink on that. So I'm just going to quickly dry this, and I think I can just quickly mute myself. There we go. There we go. That was very exciting, wasn't it? So now everything is dry. I can actually use my markers a little bit more freely. So let me see if I have a Posca one here. I'm looking for a slightly bigger one. I sort of quite like this chiseled one that I was using. But I'm looking for a slightly larger one if I have it here. You can see this is all my fine liners. What size is this one? I think I'll just carry on with the pen that I was using. But at least now my paper is dry, I can add things a little bit easier. So I'm just starting to create some shapes. See, now I can go over areas a little bit easier. So creating shapes that are a little bit more fun and a little bit more together. So black is a really good common color that you can use to add in to tie things together. So try not to overthink it. If something catches your eye and you want to create a certain shape, I really like these sort of organic lines. It is a technique that I use very often. Then go for it. So just follow your instincts, and also know that the marks that you're creating do not necessarily have to follow the shapes that you created. So you can see here I am going to add in shapes that sort of overlap, that go in a different direction. See, there we go. That starts to look a bit more sort of cohesive already, doesn't it? So maybe I'll do the same on this side. And the pen that I'm using is waterproof. And that means that I can paint over this again if I wanted to. I don't think I will today. It's definitely a possibility. So maybe a slightly finer line. So you see how those lines bring things together. Where first you thought, oh, this is a really weird sort of abstract like blob picture. Now suddenly it starts to look a bit more like these things are meant to be here. So and I often find that I create some lines or some marks that feel right to me, and then I start repeating them in other areas. So although the shapes are completely, every shape can be different and every shape is unique, I often find a pattern that sort of speaks to me, that feels right, and then I add it to other areas in the same picture as well. So I'm just sort of trying to think of some shapes that I would like to create. So, and I always feel like this is a little bit like organisms, isn't it? You know, when you look at ocean water under a microscope or something, you have all these like little crawly things. That's sort of what it feels a bit to, like me. So there we go. Same. And especially after spending all day, like most of the day so far, creating. I already showed you earlier, but yeah, this is the picture that I've been working on. Can I show you? It's a little bit dark, isn't it? But yeah, this is the drawing that I've been working on, which is a color pencil, very detailed, very sort of realistic picture. Yeah, it's really nice to create something that is a little bit more loose. And yeah, I really love the combination of those two materials and those two sort of different styles and ways of doing things. So I'm creating a little pathway here. I could do the same here for a bit of coherency. As you can hear, my voice is still not completely back to normal. It's lasting quite long now, but so almost back. Like, I'm absolutely fine. I went to the gym and I've been running and like all the lots of activities that I couldn't do when I was ill. I can all do again. But yeah, my voice is still a little bit croaky. So let me add in some shapes with marker as well. So maybe I can add in some shapes that sort of overlap what we have created so far. See, it's a little bit transparent. So I like that. So, there's no rules. And the thing is, because the layers underneath are dry, I can add more layers over it and start filling up. Like layering and start filling up the shapes in between. So see, there we go. I quite like these pastel colors. Is this a type of artwork that you ever made before? Is this completely new to you? Or have you tried something like this before? It's a really good way of loosening up and just having a bit of fun without too much pressure. Should do the same with a different color. Some green here. I'm just adding in some lines over this. So that's quite subtle, isn't it, those green lines? You can almost not see them. Maybe I'm adding in some dots and some other marks. This blue is a little bit more vibrant, which is why I picked it. You can see it a little bit better. So there's definitely a more busy page than the ones that I've created in this other book in the past. They were a little bit calmer. Just find that it's clearly where my head is at. So if we quickly go back to here, we had like one background with some pen over it. Maybe this one is a little bit more like what we're creating today. Yeah, today is definitely a bit more wild and a bit more colorful, which is clearly the mood that I was in when I started creating. So that's yeah, that's just the way it is. Maybe I can add in some leaf shapes as well. So I think that looks quite fun. Isn't too busy here today. I think it has to do also with the slow start that we had. There's always something with these live streams. That's the thing sometimes. So you cannot predict it. There's not much you can do about it. So time is at 50. We'll carry on a little bit longer. So it's getting a really busy vibe, isn't it? I sort of like the idea of making this into like a continuous pattern. So maybe I will, if I scan it in and then add it to my iPad and then make it into a pattern. So I would totally wear fabric like this. I love wearing colorful things. So, maybe not so much the other. I'm wearing orange, isn't it? So, still quite bright, but not the most vibrant picture today. So, there we go. Properly wrecked the page. How's everyone getting on? I am familiar with Karitake watercolors. What do you want to know about it? I think you, yeah, they're beautiful. I think I'm going to say I'm going to be finished. Yeah, I think there's so many different types of watercolor brands, and some are a bit more translucent, some are a bit more opaque. I like working with both. I work quite a lot in gouache as well, and yeah, you just need to experiment and try things and yeah, find out what you like most. And quite often, if you go into an art shop, they often have testers. They're often behind the counter, but if you ask them, you're like, oh, I'd really like to know how this paint works, they often let you try them out, which is one of the reasons I really like to go to places in person, because online you cannot do that, of course. Yeah, shops often have things behind to share. Yeah, gouache is wonderful. I love using gouache. I use it a lot, not really in this sketchbook, but I use gouache all the time. It's probably are one of the first mediums that I started using and started teaching in as well. My first classes were gouache classes and charcoal drawing classes, but this is years ago now. And I've actually got a few courses in like how to paint birds in gouache, which is a really quite sort of not realistic, but more like an illustration type sort of how to paint birds. And yeah, I love using gouache as well. But I think I'm going to finish this for today because I have to go set up for my course tonight. So thank you so much for joining in. I really hope you enjoyed it. Sorry about the sound in the beginning. I had to restart my stream because of it. And yeah, every week we do something different. As you can see, every page is a little bit different. These were some sketches I made on my couch. Got the grades. But yeah, every event is a little bit different. Sometimes we paint or we draw. This is was a really loose picture. Yeah, so sometimes we draw animals. There's a lot of different things that we do. So yeah, make sure you tune in and together we will fill our sketchbook. So thank you so much for joining in and I'll see you all soon. Bye.